Well, welcome today to today's episode, everybody. Today we have on board with us Daya Naef. Now, Daya is a strategic advisor to law firms, and she's also an AI consultant. So for those of you just joining the podcast, we at Strativa AI help businesses scale their revenue over 12 months using AI. So if you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, be sure to stick around for other episodes. And as well, if you're interested in a free growth consultation, DM me in the messages and I'll be sure to follow up with you. So Daya, could you please tell us a bit about yourself, what your role is, both in your company and then also in the AI work, and how you got started in it all?
Yeah, wonderful, Mark. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. So I am the founder of The Success Partner. I also have an AI consulting company called Harbor Point AI, and that's where I work in tandem with a developer to build things. But for the most part, I am doing high-level strategic consulting, usually for law firms because I am an attorney. I'm a practicing construction attorney. And so we kind of speak the same language. We've fought the same fight. We're really working on the same type of issues. So I usually stay sort of in that industry.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, getting started in AI was need based. So I kept having people say, we need to know about AI and we don't know anything about it. The funny part is they started asking me about it about 2.5 years ago, but they've only recently, in the last, 30 to 60 days, actually started doing anything with it.
Interesting.
Yes, I think that's because they're getting heavily marketed to by some of the big players in the legal software space. Yeah, it's finally come to where they can't ignore it anymore, but they still don't know what to do with it, and so that's why the phone has started. The proverbial phone, aka Zoom appointments, are starting to be made.
Aha. Aha.
Yeah.
And how big is your company, say, either in terms of revenue or team size?
The companies I work with.
No, like
Yeah.
your personal. So your
Oh,
your
my personal
your
company.
firm and your AI business as well.
Fabulous. Yeah, we're just a startup, really. Yeah, we're just a startup. So it's myself and a couple of contractors and a couple of strategic partners. I work a lot in tandem with fractional CFOs, CMOs, and developers on the AI side.
Okay. And what would you say your business goals are for developing over the next 12 months?
Oh, 12 months, definitely double at least in revenue. And I'd like to start bringing on some more people in the strategic role, the actual make some mini me's to help go out and
Digital
implement some
clones?
of these projects. Yeah, human and digital clones.
Nice. Fantastic. And would you say, or actually, could you say what sort of balance you have between your work with the legal side of things and work with the AI? Are you putting more emphasis on one over the other?
It's gotten to be about half and half.
Yeah. And when you're working in the legal space, is that, you said with like around construction, is that where you're also finding most of your AI clients is something to do with the legal side of things? Or are you kind of, we'll say industry agnostic?
Yeah, more industry agnostic,
Huh.
more in industry agnostic, more. I often get invited to speak for like bar associations, local legal groups. So we have, of course, the American Bar Association, but then each state has a bar and each county has a bar. And so they like to have me come in and speak to them periodically on what's happening with AI. What do we need to know to be compliant, ethical? And each state is different. Actually, even some courts are different. They make actual local court rules. And so I try to, when I'm called to, go to an area, check on that and see what's going on in the area so that I can advise.
And so when you're going to these areas, what's it been like where there may be some cultural or organizational barriers in regards to using AI or people getting introduced to it? So what have you encountered, and more importantly, what sort of ways have you addressed them?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the barriers have been, so far, fear. It's very psychographic of what's been happening so far, especially in the legal industry. It has been, they are admitted late adopters. They're like, we just want to make sure all the bugs are worked out before we do anything. And I've had some people say, never, like I'm going to retire before I start using this. We're not going to have it. Um, that's shifting. That is shifting some now that it's in everything. Things that they've already subscribed to now has an AI component or an AI starting to be baked in and rolled out in it, whether they wanted it to or not. So now they're having to develop policies and usage processes and approval processes and then disclosure. You have to disclose to your clients
Sure.
how much or how little you're using it, how you're protecting their information. On the flip side, we're seeing a lot of clients up with AI generated contracts, wills, trust, agreements, motions, even, and giving them to the firm and saying, hey, work with this. And they're like, wait, what?
Because that typically hasn't happened in the past, I take it.
Right. That typically doesn't happen. And you have to decide, is it going to be, do I want to work with something that somebody's already bringing me? Is it going to be easier for me just to start from scratch? Because sometimes it's harder to take something apart and rebuild it than to just build it from scratch. I know when I used to take cases from other attorneys and from some reason there was a switching of attorneys, it would be a lot worse. It would be like, I need to charge 30% more at a minimum to catch up on where this attorney was going with it, to start bringing in my own strategy with it.
Hmm.
And it was just a lot harder than someone coming to me and saying, take this case, this is the facts, go with it. And so it's so similarly, it's like, wait, what happened? Or conversely, people are representing themselves via ChatGPT, getting to a certain
Really?
point and then getting in trouble. And then they need a lawyer to also get them out of it. And in some cases, depending upon where you are, you might not be able to get out of it. If you've gone workers' comp or social security or something and represented yourself, you may have exhausted all your remedies. And so when you bring in an attorney, there's not anything they can do.
Wow. That is so, like, shocking. That's got to be a really, really tough case for those people. I mean, I could see how some of them would want to use it, and I've just never even thought about it. But yeah, having it go to an end where they've exhausted all remedies, as you say. My gosh, what a predicament that they're in.
Hmm. Yeah, sometimes you don't get it more than a couple bites at the apple. And if you've gone pro se representing yourself, then sorry.
Wow. What would you say some common misconceptions are that businesses have when they're integrating AI into their own growth strategies? I know you mentioned that some of them have had things rolled out kind of just within certain systems. And yeah, maybe if you could speak about how there might be a degree of reluctancy or just how they're perceiving this and any misconceptions that you're helping people with.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. So there's some common players in the market like West and Lexus that we subscribe to as lawyers for our legal research to make things up to date, to make sure that things are up to date
So
and
those are
cited
kind of like
properly.
libraries, repositories of cases.
Hmm.
I
Yes.
see. Okay.
Yes. There are research data banks that are a relatively costly investment, and we subscribe to them to make sure that our what we're saying is up to date, that it hasn't been overruled at some point or nuanced at some point with a different case law. And they have now rolled out production capabilities. So instead of just doing the research, they will now produce a pleading or they will produce a memo or they will produce something. The problem is the interfaces don't check each other. So you're kind of lulled in. So there's two cases. There's people who don't want to use AI and they are using it because it's baked in, at least to the research component.
Huh.
But then if they switch over, and a lot of their staff associates are switching over since it's part of it, to use the drafting function. But the drafting function, you still have to check. You have to go back and check to make sure that the cases that were cited are the proper cases because they're still running in sort of in parallel.
I see.
So the researcher is not necessarily talking to the drafter, and then the drafter did not actually go back. The AI drafter did not actually go back and check. So there's a false sense of security, and that's what's happening right now with people who know you can get in trouble for filing false cases through AI, and they know that, but they think that since I am using this main brand, the software I would literally check I would literally check it. Since I'm using that, certainly it's doing it on its own, but it's not. And now, not to say that it's not ever going to, but for right now, you still have to do that redundancy.
Yeah, that degree of human oversight is so valuable across any industries, and some certainly sensitive ones like the legal space, medical space, financial. There's definitely a higher standard required and needed because of such sensitive information going out and being analyzed. So I've certainly heard myself of just the need for like AI consultants such as yourself, a space for kind of the just like review and the testing of the validity of everything that's coming across so that there's just, yeah, the data is interpreted accurately, and then the parties that are involved are making true, honest judgments on how to go forward, and not just kind of taking things at face value because of the potential inaccuracies, biases, hallucinations, and probably in there too that like whatever 3% of maliciousness of people kind of tweaking the AI or something, right?
Yeah. I hope that it's mostly just misknowledge or biases, which we're still kind of working through that and probably always will. You're training on stuff that's based on years of data, and the people putting in the data think a certain way, and you kind of have to start massaging that out.
So how do you balance that? What are you actually doing when you're receiving from, what did you say, whale and the other one?
Westlaw?
Westlaw? Yeah, when you're in there, what does the human interaction look like so that you're balancing kind of the work of their base platform layered with AI, but then, your human interaction comes along. What does that balance look like?
Yeah, you're actually bringing to the table your own experience. So people are thinking that they're going to start hiring 1L first year out of law school attorneys to use these softwares. But the mistake is going to be made there, or the challenge that's going to be made there, is they don't have the gut instinct that a 20+ year practitioner would have to know that this is not correct. It's not sitting right. It doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
or yes. And so that's something that we're going to have to go hand in hand with the new associates, just like we always have, and train them first in law, then in also how to use these. So definitely don't no forbidding of using and whatnot, but until you get that gut instinct of this is right or this is wrong, it's just doubly checking and learning as you go, and more hands-on even. So if an associate came to me and said, "Hey, look what I want to file," or "Look at this remote," and then sitting down with them and saying, "Okay, this is incorrect," or "This is contextually wrong. Like, what did you ask it? Like, what kind of conversation were you having with the AI that created this result? And then this is how this isn't going to work out. So here, go look at this." And so it's going to be a different type of learning style. I don't have the answers, but there's definitely going to be a different type of learning and training style for young attorneys coming up.
Gosh, yeah, I would think so. I mean, we're all being given such a intricate tool and powerful. It's like a surgeon's knife coupled with a sledgehammer.
I
It's like
know,
the
yes.
weirdest Swiss Army tool. But like, yeah, you're a construction. It can demo and build in like an instant.
Right, exactly. No, but what? What's it gonna build me? And then
Right.
is that what I needed? It may be what I asked for, but maybe it wasn't what I needed.
And so is there something in your industry that is taking charge as far as like the overseeing of compliance with these things, with these potential issues? Or is it more internal per law firm or user of the databases that the users are kind of self-governing to make sure that things are in compliance?
Yeah, honestly, Mark, it's all over the page right
Is
now.
it?
Yes, we've had guidance come out from the American Bar Association. They did Opinion 512 last summer, and it's been varied and rolling out in different states. But then your own firm and your own practice, your own morals and ethos have to also line up with that. So like that's the guidelines. Some are guidelines, some are rules. And so then you have to figure out, well, how am I going to roll this out?
Right.
And then I'm also hearing from my managed service providers and my cybersecurity experts that when they work with a firm and they're on the hook, they're the ones guiding the ship, they shut everything down and then they approve it on a case by case basis. But there's so many firms that don't work with people like that. They don't have a cybersecurity expert that manages their entire system and their entire database. In fact, the majority of law firm practitioners in the US are like 5 attorneys and less.
Hmm.
So you're not going to have a sophisticated, I mean, I would hope you would have some sort of MSP managing your technology on a affordable subscription basis, but some people don't. Some people are very much do-it-yourselfers, and figuring out how to manage using the AI, what AI you're going to use, what system it's going to stay in, and then the leakage from system to system. So like as you're moving from system to system, what kind of portals or wormholes or whatever kind of thing you want to call it is being created.
Right. Right. Interesting. What internally for your own biz ops, what have you done to automate your own business structure?
Oh, that's a good question. So I have some of my own. I'm primarily a ChatGPT person. So I have my paid account, I have my privacy settings set up, and I make my own GPTs for each project that I'm working on. So it's a very simple solution. I've always been I'm a long time Zapier user.
Uh-huh.
So moving things back and forth via Zapier through things like HubSpot, Google Drive, to make some automations I do a lot of networking. So having that to where it can write some things and research some things for me and put it back into like my HubSpot to keep in touch with my contacts is something that I use on the daily. Also scheduling, calendaring, things like that. I have to have help with as an army of one. I have to make sure that I have help with that.
That's funny you say that. I was literally just on tech support I use Go High Level, and I was on tech support about some calendar conflicts for the longest of time. And it's because my assistant put in basically a duplicate of me. They talk about digital cloning.
You have one. Good for
Yeah.
you. You don't even know.
Yeah, totally not intended. But yeah, like maintaining, calendars and having those efficiencies so that, even just like setting up, this podcast today, right? And having it
Mhm.
go out and then check calendars for us. And then when appointments are booked, then the appropriate information is received by each recipient so they know where to go. And of course, receiving reminders and that sort of stuff. So I
Mhm.
think that those basic automations are key and total time savers for sure. What would you say would be some things that are manual that you're doing that you wish could be automated?
Can I make a me? Can I make a clone? I guess I can't wait for self-driving cars. I think that would be helpful. Or taxis, self-driving taxis. I like to get work done while I'm on en route, but I can't when I'm driving because I'm like to stay focused on driving. So that will be helpful. That would be a time saver. And let's see. I mean, I really like to automate as much stuff as possible. I'm a big like meal kit person. Like anything I can make a cut and then save time for something that's creative or personal or work related, then I try to do that. I try to be as efficient as possible.
Nice. Sounds it. Yeah. I'm that similar way. I know for
Yeah.
me, when I'm not kind of like in the flow and, feeling efficient or what have you, it's just kind of like a drag. It's literally kind of keeping me feeling as though I'm being held back by something. And
Hmm.
yeah, what would you say some of the costs are of that you might experience in not being efficient in workflows or, not implementing things, not taking action on things?
Well, there's always the opportunity costs, when you miss something or you could have scheduled things differently or juggled things differently. And there's always that cost of, a missed appointment or a missed something that could have been taken advantage of. Like you and I were talking about public speaking earlier, and you and I both do a lot of public speaking. Well, kind of just keeping up on closing deadlines for submitting proposals and things like that. It's challenging to track. I keep them
Yeah.
on spreadsheets and try to get everything as organized as possible. But, sometimes stuff happens. You're working on your house, you're putting out some fires, and then you go back to the spreadsheet and it's like, okay, I really could have done that. And, with AI and with the fact that you and I probably write our content before we pitch it, then it wouldn't have taken me but a few minutes to submit something. But since I didn't get my reminder, it didn't happen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's key. Certainly, cost of the opportunity costs are huge and often immeasurable, but not to say that they're not significant. Yeah. Yeah. Where would you say there's been a case that using AI has led to some unforeseen challenges or setbacks? And then what were your takeaways from that experience? What lessons did you learn?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it goes back to that checking everything before it goes out. A lot of stuff will be predictive. Like I have an email writer that has predictive emails. For the most part, it's pretty good, but you do have to watch it because you're not sure exactly if it understood like acronyms, for instance. If someone's using an acronym in an email to me about going to, let's just say going to some conference, and it didn't know which one it was, so it would write back and say I don't know, engineers conference when I was talking about I don't know, something else with an E,
Yeah, electrical
something else with an
conference.
E. Yeah, something else. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then it also sometimes with the calendaring, sometimes it doesn't do the time zones quite right. Or the one of them I'm using just this morning, I looked and it said Wednesday the 23rd, and I'm like, I don't think it's Wednesday. I think it's Tuesday Tuesday the 23rd. So which is it? Is it the Tuesday or is it the 23rd? Like which one did you look at?
Yeah.
And so you really have to kind of eyeball it. You have to eyeball it. You have to mainly kind of look at it. And then people are like, well, what's the use of it if you have to check it? Well, it's 80% done.
Right.
It's like having someone that works for you, like for instance, having a house cleaning service.
Yeah.
A big proponent of that as well. Well, the house cleaning service is never going to get everything that I would get.
Right.
However, they do a pretty darn good job. And if I'm only doing 10 or 20% of the work, it's still better than me doing 100% of the
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a good analogy too. I think I'm going to use that one, Daya.
work.
Awesome. And what are you doing to track your own successes? Your own key performance indicators, that sort of stuff. What do you use for tools in regards to that goes?
I do a lot of with HubSpot and then also Google Sheets. So I really do a lot of stuff still visually, still manually because I like the visual interface of color coding things in Sheets. And then, of course, HubSpot with their deal trackers. Like I can put in the notes and look at it and see what's high priority, what's low priority. And then you can sort it by people's names, firm name, company name, when you talked to them last. Like you can sort all that information and keep it at your fingertips.
Indeed. We've come a long way. Sounds like you've had an incredible journey, really wrapping and embracing in the AI side of things quite a bit, and looking to double your revenue over the next year. What would you say is the biggest challenge that you see in hitting that goal of doubling your revenue? What would be something that's like slowing you down?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think hitting in the finding the right pain points. Like when I'm talking to someone, I think I know what their pain points are, but I could be wrong. Finding people want a solution to one problem right now, whereas the greatest efficiency would be a whole change process. But it's too, should I say scary? It's just too challenging of an endeavor to wrap their mind around it. So right now, the growth spurt has been fix this. Okay, we'll see how that
Individually, you mean?
goes, and then fix this.
Uh-huh.
Yes, fix this. And I'm like, you can see it's like going to the doctor and you telling her you have a headache, and she's like, okay, well, I could give you something for the headache, or we could run some tests. And then you run the test and it says like, okay, well, we need to work on your cholesterol and we need to work on your this and we need to work on your that.
Mm-hmm.
And here is an entire lifestyle plan for you,
Right.
along with some medications and things like that. 9 times out of 10, we're just going to say, just give us the stuff for the headache and we'll worry about the rest of the stuff later.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, what could he conjure up as far as like a magic wand that would go from that like individual symptom to instead treating, in this case, like a patient more holistically to do a bigger process?
I wish I knew on that one, Mark. I think getting in, showing your worth, working on a few projects, then coming back and saying, I have noticed since we've been working together, you also have some people ops stuff that you could be working with. I mean, nobody wants to be told they have a problem, but it's like there's some people ops stuff that you could optimize and make more sustainable. Or there's some marketing stuff where I'm kind of seeing, hey, you know what? Your marketing is not really telling people what you've told me you want your firm to look like, just in our conversations. And so it's like, well, there could be a disconnect there. Is that something you want to work on? How could I help you working on some of these other things to make a healthier ecosystem? And of course, that leads to better growth or better sustainability. If you're not looking to grow and just sustain, it's the same. It's a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see. So yeah, it's definitely taking a look at the larger brand message that's going out in
Mhm,
some cases.
mhm,
So
mhm.
there's the universal kind of push on what they think they're saying is actually what they want to say, and
Mhm.
that it's leading to their correct, like ideal clients and that sort of stuff. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You'd be surprised. Like people are really putting out a very different brand message for clients and for attracting talent.
Yeah. Right. 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 Good point. Yeah, a lot goes into the talent side of things too, where it's only gonna like shoot themselves in the foot if they're hiring the wrong talent and then a year later there's churn, then they have to go through all the time and expense to go through it all over again, as opposed to taking the time at the very beginning to have the right methodologies employed in hiring someone new. Yeah. Wow. And so what do you think are going to be some big trends coming up, say over the next 2 to 3 years in AI?
Gosh, that's a long projection for
I know,
AI.
I used to ask that question. I used to say 5 years, and I was like, that's way too long.
That's way too long. Yes, yes, things will be fundamentally different in 5 years. I think even in the next 6 months, we're going to hit a mass where most professionals are using it in some consistent fashion, and those who do not want to learn it or use it have retired or transferred into some other kind of role. I think it's coming very quickly. Some industries will be completely obsolete as soon as 6 months from now. And I know that's like crazy, but it is coming very, very quickly. And then I think there will be a reversion. I think people will be wanting to deal with humans a lot more. We're already seeing a lot more face-to-face meetings. Conferences are back in mass, completely rebounded from COVID and gone up a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's both return from COVID and the fact that so many things are automated now that people are like, we either have the more time that we can meet now that so many things are automated, or we just really, really, really want to be in person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting, the confluence of, like you said, COVID and then AI, and just how they both are forcing us all to adapt so rapidly. And it's truly fascinating, and it's really something to step back and witness sometimes and just, take it all in. And then others, I find myself like just so excited to be in this space. I think it's like, well, just like the World Economic Forum, forecasted recently, I don't know if you know, right? But it's a net gain in jobs by 2030. So yeah, there's a heap of opportunity for people for sure. What would be a recommendation that you may have for someone that is at all hesitant in embracing it in the AI, that is?
I mean, you can certainly proceed with caution, but proceed. Uh,
Yeah, like no
and
matter
I
what,
mean,
proceed.
proceed, proceed. I mean, there have been some great books. I really enjoyed The AI Driven Leader by Jeff, can't think of his last name right now. It was very good and very informative for me starting out a couple years ago, looking at that. So, okay, well, what does this really mean for leadership? I know what it means for drafting content or transcribing meetings. Okay, I know what that means for the team level or the employee level, but what does it mean for the leadership level? And so that was a very good resource.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out. What was it again?
It's called the AI Driven Leader.
Driven leader. Well, very good. We'll include that in the show notes too, a little plug.
Sure.
Yeah. And how about, as we wind up, is there anything else that you'd like to add or just, share with the audience before we do wind up?
Yeah, just, I mean, happy to come on and speak and answer questions. And I'm pretty easy to find and readily available.
How do people find you?
It's The Success Partners, THE, Success Partner, or my name, Daya Naef. I'm on all the socials and LinkedIn, and my email is daya@thesuccesspartner.com.
Fantastic. Yes. Yep. The socials, that's how we met on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Yep. Indeed. Wonderful. Well, Daya, thank you so very much for your time. Stick around just a little bit after we conclude here. But yeah, indeed. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. The legal space with AI is definitely got a lot of things going on and a lot of moving parts that really affect people's lives. So I'm excited for you because it is such a dynamic and important space to be in. So I think that there's a lot of relevance that people will gain not only from this podcast, but from the work that you're doing around the space. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very good. Okay, make it a great day. We'll talk soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, there you go. So how was that for you?
That was fun.
Nice. And now you
Yeah. I
use
think these are
Riverside as
always
well.
fun.
Do you do
I
podcasting
do.
or?
I do.
Right.
Yes.
Great. And
Yes.
do you find it like, is it generally more for your AI stuff or for your legal stuff or?
It's been more like sort of the business coaching. I have other providers on there, CFOs, CMOs, people who help people.
Right,
So yeah, I
right.
have them on. I get lawyers on too, and then sometimes I can, when I call them back, hey, how'd you like the podcast? And I can say, well, hey, what's going on at your firm? And kind of get in there a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so with the doubling of your business in the next year, are you looking to kind of have your 50 split between the two businesses increase, or you're spending more time on the AI side of things?
It looks like the AI is going to eclipse, definitely, just from the conversations I've been having. That seems to be the draw. Now, in the implementation and what the actual workload looks like, I'm not sure. But for right now, the AI is more interest. People are making, I would say, quicker decisions, not quick decisions,
Huh.
but quicker decisions. Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you finding your customers?
I do a lot of networking.
And is that in
Yeah.
person? Like I had someone the other
Both.
day, they run AI LA, and she's like, you should join. I'm like, I'm in San Diego.
So many
That's
groups.
all
Have
in
so many
person, but
groups.
you know,
Oh, that's a trek. Yes. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, I'm in a lot of groups, virtual, in person. I used to run some of my own groups. I'm not running a group right now. I'm running a Provisors chapter as a group leader.
Provisors, what's that?
Provisors is the Trusted Advisor Network. It's mainly attorneys, CPAs, marketers, but it's people who've been in 10 years of business and mainly own their own company or agency, or do business development for one of the companies or agencies, or own a franchise or something of that nature. But they're very popular in California. They started in California like 40 years ago, and then about 9 years ago, they branched out to the whole rest of the US.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one, but I'll check it out. Great. All right. Well, any questions for me or?
Yeah, like what do you do in your world day to day? I got a little bit of an idea, but
Yeah, yeah. So
what's a
similar as
good
you, I'm a business coach, and then my AI side of things has certainly taken off. So in my business coach, so I've been a coach for about 5 years. I started
Okay.
first under Tony Robbins and his tutelage, and then niched down into divorce coaching. And Daya, that work was just so heavy on me. It was
Hmm.
very rewarding. It was, for me, it was all about the kids. Although my client was, just one of the divorcing parents, the mission was for the kids. And, but that work was just so heavy. And so I kind of parlayed, pivoted, what you want to say, into business coaching. So licensed ex-business coach under Grant Cardone. And
Okay.
In business coaching, I saw people were saying like they want stuff done for them. So as you use HubSpot, I use GHL and setting up a lot of automations, but then also, people that don't want to run their lead gen or they don't want to do their social media content and this sort of stuff. And some people not even having a CRM, some local businesses being just total old school and helping them with that. And so the DFY combined into the AI aspect of it all. And so then similar as you, it sounds like I've got a team of developers, and then depending on what the client's needs are, I either do it in-house or bring in some consultants to manage the work. So I'm kind of, at the director level of things, and then I have various doers, if you will, to execute on said tasks as needed.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good. I did mental health coaching for a while. There's a company called Lyra based out in Burlingame, and I worked for them for about 2.5 years. And same, like the just the mental health work just got to be tiring, very tiring. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, tying it all back to AI, I know of a therapist who actually they're about to roll this out as an AI product to other therapists, but it is an AI assistant that sits in on the therapeutic calls. So when there's a
Hmm.
Zoom or whatever, the AI agent is alongside the practitioner helping in the session come up with questions or reminders of, use cases in the past that maybe this patient's presenting anxiety or something could draw relevance from. So kind of having that AI wingman, with them as they're doing their therapy sessions. And the individual that was interviewed about it was saying how it was actually allowing them to do more sessions each day because it wasn't weighing on them. The sessions weren't weighing on them like they were in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, where you'd have to, yeah, really process and then get resources and then send them back to the client at at a later time or at the end of the day and putting in all your notes and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where it's very helpful.
Yeah. Well, exciting stuff. I'd love to continue the conversation and do some collabs or what have you in the future. So yeah, feel free to, reach out. In the meantime, continue your follow-ups with Carrie there. Hopefully something comes out of that. I did also just meet a lawyer the other day, so maybe I could refer him over. He's certainly kind of curious about the AI space in the legal world as well. And so happy to refer you business there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I love to just have the conversations, and a lot of times it's just like, "Hey, have you tried that?" And they're like, "No," and then I'm like, "Go try that," and then that's the conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Very easy, very easy. And then other times it's like, "Hey, let's look at more. Let's look at doing some more." So it's like, okay, either way,
Yeah.
love to talk to people.
Yeah. All right, Daya. Well, thanks again for your
All right,
time. I really appreciate
you're
it.
very welcome.
Okay.
Okay,
Talk soon.
all right.
Bye-bye.